I'm going to go over what sports psychology coaching is, what's worked on within sports psychology coaching, and then at the end, I'm going to give you 2 techniques that you can start using right now to make use of sports psychology coaching for yourself. The goal of sports psychology coaching is to develop mental skills, because we know that if you have higher level mental skills, this will lead to greater levels of performance. Now, the work that's done within sports psychology coaching is always personalized to the athlete, right? It's always, what are you specifically struggling with right now, or what mental skills do you need to develop? And then we focus on a plan that will help you achieve those goals. However, there are some general mental skills that are typically touched on, with one being building confidence. This is something that's always going to be worked on within sports psychology coaching because, no matter what sport you play, no matter what level you're at, it's always helpful to have more confidence, because confidence is just that belief and the trust that you have in yourself to go out there and to execute your skills. And something that's really neat is all the other topics or all the other mental skills that we work on within sports psychology coaching, they all feed back into confidence, because at this foundational level, confidence is just about you knowing that you have everything put together to where you can go out there and succeed. So let's say that you're struggling with focus, which is something we'll talk about here in a second. If you're struggling with focus and then you improve that, well, you're naturally going to have more confidence to go out there and play well because you know that you'll be more focused. So building confidence is always a foundational skill that we focus on within sports psychology coaching. Another mental skill is self-talk. So we'll focus on developing self-talk where you have more control over the thoughts you have and the way that you speak to yourself. The reason self-talk is so important is because we have to look at something known as the thought-feeling cycle, where you have a thought which leads to a feeling. So an example of this would be you have a negative thought like, I'm not playing well today. When you have that negative thought, how does that make you feel? Do you feel incredibly excited and confident, or do you feel like you're not playing well that day and you start to doubt yourself? When we know that that feeling results from the thought, we can also look at how that feeling impacts your next thought, which is more than likely going to be a thought that mirrors the feeling. So this is where we see this cycle take place. But now the whole field of sports psychology is going off of this idea that your thinking and your feeling, so your mindset, your mental state, impacts your performance. And that's 100% true, because if we look at this thought of, I'm not playing well today, and then the feeling that generates of feeling like you're not playing well, feeling down on yourself, lacking confidence, well then if we looked at your performance, more than likely your performance will be a result of those thoughts and feelings, especially if they are negative, your performance level will decrease. However, if we look at the positive form of that cycle, where you have confident thoughts like, I'm playing great today, I believe in myself, I've had a lot of really good practices recently, and then that generates a better feeling, more than likely your confidence will increase. Now, it's not as cut and dry as that, right? I mean, sometimes you don't feel that great and you play great. Sometimes you feel awesome, you feel amazing, and it's just not your day. But when we're looking at percentages, right, it's a higher chance that you'll play well if you're thinking and feeling good, and it's also a higher chance that you'll play poorly if you are thinking and feeling poorly. And so this is why self-talk is so important for us to work on. Because if we can work on building a more positive mindset, right, you just have more positive self-talk, you think in a better way, you think in a more confident way. If you're able to think better after mistakes, then you're able to move on from mistakes better. Well, if you're just able to do all that, we know that your thinking will be used to your advantage rather than your thinking being used to your disadvantage when you play. Another skill that's focused on a lot within sports psychology coaching is focus, right? So we're going to work on building your focus and strengthening your ability to control attention. Now, during a game, how many distractions do you face? How many distractions are present? Well, we can look at the score. We can look at how you've been playing recently, any mistakes that you've been facing. We can look at your opponent. We can think of your coaches, if they're saying something, your teammates, the crowd, the weather, the environment, the playing surface. There are so many different distractions that you can face as an athlete, which means you need to have the ability to not only recognize these distractions, but refocus yourself if you do become distracted. Another mental skill that we work on within sports psychology coaching is managing mistakes. So this is also known as resilience, where you're trying to bounce back from mistakes, bounce back from bad games. It's just that ability to move past failure, but not just move past failure. You want to learn from failure. You want to learn from your mistakes. Now, I have linked another video right here that goes into more detail on helping you learn from mistakes during games, so you can go ahead and check that out if you'd like. But knowing how to bounce back from mistakes during games, knowing how to take bad games and weeks of bad games and turn them into weeks of good games because you adjust, you learn, you don't give up, and you have that resilience. That is a key mental skill for you to develop if you want to increase your level of performance. Another mental skill is self-awareness. Self-awareness is really interesting because self-awareness is a bit of a foundational skill for you if you want to improve your mental game. Because if you don't understand what you're thinking, if you don't understand what you're feeling, if you don't understand how those two play into the way that you are performing, it's very difficult for us to change anything. So a place that I always start and I always begin when I'm working with an athlete is focusing on this self-awareness. And it is something that's developed throughout the coaching, because if we want to work on improving self-talk, if we want to build confidence, if we want to improve focus, we're always focusing and looking at what you're thinking, how you're feeling in those moments, where your attention is. So all of that begins to generate this self-awareness. And then the last skill that I want to mention is self-management. We will focus on self-management within sports psychology coaching, because if you can manage your emotions better, then you'll be able to perform better. Mainly because, like I said earlier, if you have a better state, if you're in a better mood, more than likely you'll play better. But also, if you're in a better mindset and you can control your emotions better, you'll move on from mistakes quicker. And so something that really improves your performance is not anything, it's really not anything about becoming better. It's just about reacting to things better. So let's say you make a mistake during a game, but you're able to manage yourself, you're able to manage your emotions in that moment. Well, more than likely you'll play better moving forward because you won't be holding on to that mistake so much. So those are some of the main mental skills that we work on within sports psychology coaching. Now, if you notice, I didn't mention anything like fear of failure, sports performance anxiety, self-doubt, perfectionism. The reason that I didn't mention those is because those are known as mental game challenges. Now, I've linked another video right here that goes into detail on all the different mental game challenges that you might face as an athlete. But when we are looking at sports psychology coaching, yes, it will be about managing and overcoming these mental game challenges. But the way that I've seen the most success with overcoming those challenges is by focusing on what you need to build in terms of mental skills. Because if you can build confidence, self-doubt naturally goes away. If we can improve focus, you won't feel as anxious because anxiety is really tied to your attention and your thinking. It's the same thing for all of these different skills. So now, what are a couple different techniques that you can use to get started with sports psychology coaching or working on some of these skills for yourself? Well, there are two that I really like to start athletes off with. The first one is working on your self-talk. So if you can work on improving the way that you talk to yourself and the way that you think, we will see this have a direct impact, a positive impact on your performance. So what I would suggest doing is going through what's known as a reframing exercise, where throughout the week, pay attention to some of the negative thoughts that you have. Pay attention to some of the negative ways you are talking about yourself to other people. And also pay attention to the negative thoughts you have about the environment, because there is something known as direct versus indirect self-talk, where direct self-talk is you specifically talking about yourself to yourself, versus indirect self-talk is saying things like, this field sucks, I never play well against that team, this official is awful, things about the environment. But we know that those things about the environment, they impact you. So what you can do is just keep a notebook, keep a journal, keep this in your phone, and just jot down throughout the week all the different negative thoughts that you have. And whenever you write down a negative thought, you want to reframe it. So turn it into more of a positive. And as you get used to this exercise, you can begin doing this just in the moment. So without having to write it down, you can just try to reframe a negative thought into a more positive thought. And then the other technique that you can begin using is going through an evaluation process. An evaluation process helps us with sports psychology coaching because it works on building your confidence. It also helps improve focus, and it also helps move on from mistakes so you can become more resilient. And then it also has the added benefit of being more self-aware, or helping you build self-awareness, because you're focusing on your game a little bit more. Now, the reason that it builds confidence is because when you do a post-performance evaluation, you will always be looking at some things that you did well. So you'll go through and say, what are some positives from my performance today? And now we have to look at confidence like building blocks. We're trying to build the blocks upon one another so that we can build this confidence. And when you focus on the things you did well, naturally that confidence will grow. And now also the reason that it improves your focus is because if you go through an evaluation process, you will come out with some things you want to work on and focus on throughout the week or going into the next game. And then if you take those things and you focus on them for practice or the game, naturally we will see your focus become better because you have something you actually want to focus on. And then lastly, it helps with resilience because when you go through and you perform this evaluation process, you are working to keep yourself from beating yourself up too much and nitpicking your game. You are evaluating, you are not judging. And when you evaluate, you look for mistakes that you made only because you want to ask yourself, how can I learn from them? So those are two really great exercises or techniques that you can begin using. Start focusing on reframing your negative thoughts throughout the week and begin applying a post-performance evaluation process. Now, the last thing that I want to mention is just how my sports psychology coaching works. So my sports psychology coaching is set up as a 12-week program, and it begins with you taking an assessment to help really identify, what you're thinking like right now, what are some expectations you have, and just in general, what are some of the mental game challenges that you are currently facing. Then what we'll do is we'll have a deep dive intro session where we go over the assessment and really get a feel for what we want to focus on moving forward. After the assessment and the deep dive session, I will put together a game plan for us, and then you and I will begin meeting once a week where we will work on different mental skills, different techniques, review recent practices and games, and really focus on developing a stronger mindset. And then also between our sessions each week, I will give you action steps and exercises to complete to practice these skills that we are working on. Because I view mental training in a very similar way to physical training where we need to focus on repetition. Now, if you are interested in learning more about the sports psychology coaching that I offer, I've put a link to that in the description below, or you can go ahead and email me at elistraw@successstartswithin.com. If you have any questions about anything I covered within this video, or you would like me to make another video on any other sports psychology topic, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do.